On the battlefields of Africa, they called him the god of the Blackfield. Kang Chan was the genius behind the mission to take down Masalan, the leader of the Sunni group. But he was killed by a mysterious bullet from behind. Instead of dying, Kang Chan finds himself 3 years in the past in Korea, reborn as a 19-year-old outcast. Follow Kang Chan on his epic journey to uncover the secrets of his reincarnation and get revenge on his betrayer. The story begins at an African mercenary headquarters. The soldiers there were discussing the fact that they had received intelligence indicating that the head executive of the enemy, with the name Masalan, had arrived at Sector Y for an on-site visit. An officer gave a briefing on a night's mission to the soldiers. According to the officer, he was certain that everyone had reached this conclusion. However, because of the nature of the mission, they were unable to mobilize a large number of troops. The officer went on to say that there were a total of 49 individuals who were a part of the mission, which consisted of 5 different squads. When asked if they would have access to air support, one of the soldiers inquired. The general was questioned by another soldier who inquired about the number of hostile troops. The response from the general was that it would be somewhere between 350 and 500. The soldiers began to converse with one another, which prompted the general to take notice and inform them that they ought to be aware that the objective of the mission was not to take control of the area. As soon as it was established that Masalan had passed away, they were to immediately stop firing and retract their position. The general became enraged when the soldiers continued to interrupt him, and he ordered them to pay attention to what he was saying. When the soldiers urged him to continue his speech, the general responded by explaining that he would normally have more to say, but that he would let it pass this time because it was a very special day for everyone. The gathering was then adjourned. A military truck was used to transport the soldiers to the location of their mission. Once they arrived, their officer requested that they disembark from the truck because they were going to march from that location. Due to the fact that they were leaving in 5 minutes, the officer gave them instructions to check their weapons one more time and to smoke one last cigarette if they so desired. Following the completion of their final cigarette, they began to move cautiously onward. It was about 2 kilometers away from their destination, and everything was going smoothly up until the point where the captain started to feel uneasy. During the conversation that he was having with a soldier, they were attacked. The soldier asked him what was wrong. During the battle, one of their soldiers named Smithan was hit by a bullet. After noticing that the adversary was even employing grenade launchers, the captain came to the realization that they were coming under attack from more than just a few sentries. It's a good thing that nothing significant occurred at that precise moment. At that moment, the captain became aware that their adversaries were waiting for them. They shot at each other in a short amount of time. As the captain continued to check on Smithan, he inquired as to whether or not he required morphine, but Smithan declined. They observed that Smithan had suffered damage to his organs and had lost a significant amount of blood. A soldier approached the captain and inquired about the actions that he intended to take regarding Smithan's predicament. He was informed by the captain that Smithan's injuries were severe and that they needed to retreat in order to successfully save him. The captain tries to talk to Smithan and asks him who he is, in response to which Smithan says God of Blackfield. An explosion occurred all of a sudden while they were conversing. Dairu was questioned by the captain about his well-being. The captain informed them that they needed to continue moving forward because they were not too far away from the headquarters of the enemy. As they were making their way through the ranks of the enemy, the captain was struck in the head by a bullet that came from behind. He pondered whether he had been betrayed or whether he had been shot by a sniper as he was being shot. Not only did he have a headache, but he was also parched. As soon as the captain regained consciousness, he became aware that he was being called by unknown individuals who were speaking Korean. It was beyond his comprehension as to why the individual was speaking Korean. Due to the fact that he was a young man, the attending physician stated that he had made a good recovery and requested that the nurse check his vital signs. The captain was taken aback and questioned where he was. The doctor replied that this was Set Bayal Hospital in Gangnam. The doctor then asks the nurse to call the guardian of the patient. The patient asked who brought him here, and the doctor said that 119 brought him here. Then the doctor told the nurse to take good care of him. It seems that he was confused after being unconscious for 3 days. He got angry, got up, and started walking from the bed. The doctor told him that he couldn't walk like this in this situation. The captain was so confused about what was going on here. The captain then realized, after staying in the hospital for a few more days, that his name is Kang Chan and he is 29 years old. He then began to think that he was a team instructor and captain of the French mercenary forces in 2016. When he got shot and lost consciousness during a mission in the African War, he said that it would be more accurate to say that he died in that war. Afterwards, he gained consciousness in 2019 in South Korea, where he was in the body of someone else who was in a coma for 3 days. He then realized that he had changed bodies with that person, but interestingly, this body's name was also Kang Chan. He was 19 years old and in his last year of high school. The person with whom the captain has changed bodies has jumped off the roof of the school he was attending, Shinmuk High School in Gangnam, and was in a coma for 3 days until he woke up. But he realized that, after a coma, he did not wake up, but rather the captain did. They were heading back home when the lady sitting next to him asked, "This is our house." Do you remember it? This lady was his mother, whose name was Yoo Hai-suk. The person sitting in the driver's seat says, "Don't rush." Even the doctor said that his memory should return if he rests well without being stressed. This man was Kang Dae-jiang, the father of that person. Then they head to apartment 701, which is the house of this person. The mother kept asking him if he remembered this place, but the father interrupted her and told him to take a rest. The mother kept worrying about her son, but his husband told her that everything would be okay. He went to his room and thought that this room was 100 times better than the commander's personal room. It was obvious that the kid was from a rich family. He then tried to access his computer, but there was a password on it. Then he says that he can use the internet on his phone, but there is also a password, so he scans his fingerprint and opens the phone. The captain tries searching for information about his death on the internet, but there are no results found. As he was using his mobile, a message popped up, and it was from a person called Lee Ho-jun, who asked him if he was discharged. He replied to him that yes, he was discharged. In response to this message, Lee Ho-jun sent him a message saying, why didn't he report that he was discharged? Chan got confused by seeing Lee Ho-jun messages because he didn't know if he was his friend or not. But the message he got from Lee Ho-jun made him think that he might not be his friend. He starts to ignore him and continue his research on the internet. Then he got a call from Lee Ho-jun, but he cut off the call by saying that he was busy. On this, Lee becomes furious. He says that he'll count till 5, and that he has to come out till his counting is over, but he hangs up on him and blocks his number. On this, Lee becomes angry, wondering how he could have blocked his number, and throws his phone on the floor. One of his friends asks why you threw away your mobile that you got only 2 months ago, but Lee Ho-jun just says that he will tell Chan to get a new mobile for him. His friends say, yeah, you have never bought anything with your own money. Lee Ho-jun angrily says that he dares Kang Chan to come to school. On the other side, Chan is still searching for information about his death, but he can't find any articles on that war in Africa. He thinks that it might be because of security reasons or some other special reason. Then he got up to search for a cigarette, and when he opened the bag, he saw many books and thought that he might be a real nerd. He kept on searching, and when he went to the bookshelf to search for a cigarette, he saw many things inside it. He picked up the diary from there and started reading, and he got to know that this kid, whose body he had transferred, was being bullied by Lee Ho-jun. He reads in that diary that this kid wants to kill those who bullied him. He thinks that if he wants to kill them, then you should have done it secretly. But at the end, he can't find any cigarettes, so he begins to think about what he has read recently, that this body is getting bullied, and he lay down on the bed and falls asleep. The next morning, his dad drove him to school. His dad told him to take care of him and don't do much hard work. His dad left after dropping him off at school. He doesn't know what or where his classroom is, so he thought that it would be nice to get some help. Someone calls him from behind Nag Chan. He started walking towards Kang Chan, and everyone seemed afraid of Lee. He angrily walks towards Kang Chan and says that he has gained extra balls of steel in the hospital. He asks, why didn't he tell him? Kang Chan reads his name on his uniform and gets to know that he is Lee Ho-jun. Lee angrily asked about yesterday's phone call, and in response, Chan laughed. After seeing this, Lee Ho-jun got furious. Kang Chan says he has found his assistant. Lee replied that because of him, he had to deal with his own lunches and cigarettes. Chan says that he smokes, then give him one. He repeats himself. On hearing this, Lee got furious and said that he was originally planning on being there until lunch break, but he had to give him some morning lessons to set his brain straight. Lee took him to the basketball hall and tried to punch him by saying that he had to go through many things in these last few days because he was not there, but before Lee had punched him, Chan punched him, and he fell to the ground. He then got onto him, and he thought that it would be problematic for him to kill Lee, so he just checked into his court to see if he had any cigarettes, but he didn't. Then Chan started talking to the kid, saying that if he was seeing them from somewhere, then let his mind be at ease. As he was talking, Lee stood up and tried to punch him from behind, but he missed it. Lee continues trying, but he missed all. Chan was curious about how he could have just stood up after he had punched him. Chan punched him back, and he thought that this wasn't his original body. Lee again stood up, and Chan continued to punch him until he fell down. There was blood on his hand, and Lee's mouth was full of blood. Then Chan remembered that he had class. When Chan was trying to find his class, a girl called him and asked that he get discharged. Kang Chan thinks that the girl looks like Snow White. Her name is Kim Mi-young. He thinks about his relationship with her. He thinks that, as it was his last year, so he doesn't need to be polite with her. The girl says that she is sorry that she didn't go to visit him. She was planning, but he got busy with cram school and all. The girl told him that everyone in the class was worried about him. Chan asks if he is in the same class as her, and this girl gets shocked and tells him that they are dating. He asked her to show him the class. They are in class at 3-2. He sits on his seat, which is besides the window, and he thinks it's the perfect spot to get snipped at. Someone entered the class. He was Lee Ho-jun. Everyone starts talking about what's wrong with Lee Ho-jun's face, but his classmates don't care because they think he probably had another fight with delinquents from another school. Chan got desperate after knowing that Lee was also in his class. Lee kept staring at Chan. Lee messaged his group that Kang Chan went crazy and they had to be free some time during the first period. The period begins, and the sports teacher gets the attendance of everyone. The teacher noticed the uniform of Chan that he was in rather than the sports clothes, but his girlfriend told the teacher that he was hospitalized and came back today. The teacher says that they can choose their activity however they want, but to be careful and don't hurt themselves. Kang Chan was sitting on the stairs, watching the other students play. Chan begins to think that he has no choice but to continue this lifestyle for today. But what should he do from now on? Lee approached him, told Chan that he couldn't let it go like this, and challenged him to change locations. Chan followed him. They reached there, where a group of Lee friends were waiting for them. One of his friends looks at Lee's face and says, "Has that Kang Chan done this to him?" They all get ready to fight Kang Chan and make a circle around him. Chan takes a look at them, smirks, and says that he is too lazy right now and they should all come together at him. One of them says that he alone is enough for him. As he comes closer to him to punch him, Chan punches him back and he falls to the ground. Everyone gets shocked, including Lee. Chan says that they should listen when a grown-up gives them advice. Chan says that each of them should aim for different spots. Then they decide who is going for legs and who is going for body and head, and Chan directs them that they should come from different angles and directions. As they all don't know how to fight, he would teach them. One of them shouts at everyone to get him, and they all attack him at once, but Chan fights them all back and punches all of them to the ground. One of them grabs him from behind his hair and says that he is finished now. Chan got curious that even this one stood up again after getting his punch. Lee was surprised at what exactly had happened. Lee thinks, is he really the sissy he knows? One of them takes out the knife, and Chan says that if he is not willing to put his life on the line, then don't use weapons. He attacks him with his knife, but Chan grabs his wrist and twists it until he begins to scream. Then Chan says to Lee that it's just two of them again, and Chan grabs the knife from the floor and says that it was his fault that he went easy on him this morning, that's why he could not wait another day, and had come for revenge, and he said that he would not make the same mistake again. He asks him whether he should lacerate him or break his bones. Lee got afraid and said that he was wrong and that he would not mess with him again. Chan said that he could if he was confident in himself. While they were talking, Chan saw the teacher, and the teacher said, "Stop it now." He got curious about how an ordinary school teacher got this close without getting detected. The teacher asks if he is Kang Chan and he has gotten the guess of the situation, but he should stop it now as he has long since exceeded the limit of the self-defense and kept glaring at the teacher, and the teacher says that if he goes any further than this, then he will get expelled. Even now, it's going to be hard for him to avoid severe punishment. Chan says that he also doesn't plan on attending school either way. The teacher says that he will deal with this situation and that he should go home now. If he has some evidence, he can use it to prove that he was being bullied by them. The teacher asks Kang Chan about where he learned to fight. Chan replied that it was from the internet, but the teacher did not believe it. The teacher curiously wonders, does everyone change this much after being on the verge of death? Chan leaves the school and thinks that this should be enough to satisfy his body's original owner. He keeps on going, but he doesn't know where he should go. Then he goes to the hair salon and gets a haircut. After the haircut, he looks like the original Kang Chan. Then he goes to a restaurant to eat. The restaurant owner welcomes him, and Chan orders one tonkatsu. While sitting on the chairs in the restaurant, he felt nostalgic. After waiting for some time, his order comes, and while eating, he takes a look at the airport ticket that is from Incheon Airport to Paris at 1910 on August 3rd. He starts to eat, but the taste isn't that good. While he was eating, his mother called him, and he picked up the call. Her mother asked him about what happened today at school and replied that he would tell her once he got home, but his mother says that she will pick him up, but Chan refuses and says that he'll tell her once he gets home. After the call, he puts his mobile on the table with anger and says that he is sure that he, the real owner of this body, would not have talked back like this, but it is better than committing suicide. Then he continues to eat tonkatsu. His father was angry at him for what he had done in school, but his mother told him not to become physical. His father says that their child's behavior has changed ever since he returned from death. Chan returned home, and his father asked him to sit there for a bit, but he did not listen and went straight into his room. On this, his father got furious, but her mother calmed him down. Chan, with some notebooks, came out of the room and told his parents that he had something to show them. His father asks what that was, but he says that you should have a look on your own. His mother and father took a look at those notebooks in which he had written all his thoughts about being bullied. They both started crying after reading them. His father asks if that was true. Then he says yes, and his father gets furious about why he didn't tell them anything before. He replies that he did not want them to worry and feels pathetic and embarrassed about him. Also, that's why he jumped off the roof. But when he wakes up, he realizes that all of his fears have vanished from this world, and his father understands everything and asks him if he regrets taking revenge on them. Her mother asks him if he was injured somewhere, but instead of telling the truth, he replies no. The father says that he will deal with today's incident himself, and he didn't have to worry about anything. She asks him to promise them that he will tell them if he gets tormented again, and Chan replies that this will not happen from now on. His father insists he promised them because they are his parents and they have the right to know. Mother also agreed with him and said that's right. His mother got emotional and started crying. Then Chan remembered his trauma when his father yelled at him to bring more alcohol, and his mother was trying to stop him. Then he says that he promised, and now he will go to his room and rest. His father got a call from their French correspondent because of a problem. He has been stuck at the customs office because the documents are missing. The mother asked what they should do. Father replies that they said that if they transfer 100,000 euros, then the local negotiators can find a solution. Mother says that 100,000 euros is about 130 million won. As their parents decided to send them money, Chan stopped them and said that he would talk to the manager and please put the manager on the phone for him. His father dialed the call and put it on speaker. The person from the other side says, "Boss, they are saying that if they don't make a deposit within the next 30 minutes, everything will be deposed. If they don't deal with this fast enough." Chan said that he wants to talk directly with the manager. The person asked, "Who was he?" "Wasn't he Kang Dae-jong?" He replies that he is his son. "Please put the manager on the phone quickly, they don't have time." His parents were confused about what he was trying to do. After a moment, managers spoke, and Chan said "allo" in French, and his parents got shocked and said that what is happening right now. Chan says goodbye in French, gives the phone back to his father, and says that they have found the missing document just now. That's why there would not be a problem getting through customs. The father becomes happy and says, "Great job." The negotiators do this from time to time, and Chan says that they would not do it now. Chan says that he told them that if this happened again, they would send Algerian mercenaries to destroy their workplace. On hearing this, his father got confused, and then Chan said that he was just joking. The mother asked out of curiosity where he had learned French because their school doesn't teach it, and he replied that he had learned it from the internet. Chan says that if there is nothing, he should go and rest in his room. His father gave him permission, and he went. Chan was lying on his bed, thinking that it looked like he would have to postpone the plan to return to France. and that his body is different from before, and the injury on his head has yet to completely heal. He also has his parents here, but then he says, "Don't think about unnecessary things once he is fully healed. He will have to leave without hesitation." The next day, sitting in his classroom, he thinks that he is fine with everything, but he doesn't want to go to this damn school. Chan was sleeping on his desk when Lee came to him and asked him to follow him. Chan had woken up and asked, "Haven't he fed up by now?" Lee replied that he would definitely slaughter him today. Chan told him to leave and went back to sleep. Then Lee said that he guesses that he doesn't care about Kim Mi-young then. At this point, Chan woke up and saw right in Lee's eyes. Lee laughed and confirmed, saying yes. Kim Mi-young. Chan sat up, folding his hands, and asked, "Who is she?" Everyone went blank-faced at his question. Lee tried to remind him about Kim Mi-young, saying she followed them to the rooftop right away when they mentioned his name. Chan, upon hearing this, stood up, remembering she was his girlfriend. Angry, he demanded to know where she was. Lee smirked and led him to the rooftop, where a gang of people stood with basketball bats with nails, a pipe, and a stick. The gang, who had been beaten by Chan before, looked at him and smirked. One of them said they were extra careful in preparing for today. A group of girls was also there, chit-chatting. Chan asked why the girls were there. One of the girls stepped forward and mockingly asked if he wanted a BJ. Chan told the girls to leave. The girl stepped forward again, angrily asking who he thought he was. Chan slapped her, and she fell to the ground. Everyone behind her seemed shocked. The girl, with tears in her eyes, looked at him furiously. Chan told her to get lost or she would die. The gang silently watched from behind. Lee said they would make Chan pay for that, then told the girl to go down and close the door. The girl stood up, saying that they should make him pay the full price, and left. Chan asked about Kim Mi-young. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Kim Mi-young entered, and her classmate, worried, asked where she had been. She replied that she was on her way to school and had missed the usual bus. She asked if someone was looking for her. The girl, speechless, stared at the roof. Mi-young joined her in staring at the roof of the class. On the rooftop, Lee told Chan he had been tricked, and there was no Mi-young there. He mocked Chan for acting like a prince coming to save Snow White, and they all laughed. Chan, imagining Mi-young as Snow White, said there was nothing to worry about now and started walking towards the door. The gang surrounded him, holding sticks, pipes, and bats with nails. Chan glared at them. Lee smirked, asking if he was afraid to jump off again. Chan replied that Lee was really cocky for someone his age. This angered Lee. Chan asked if they were responsible last time. Lee, provokingly, said Chan didn't remember. Even though they hadn't hit him yet, he had begged for his life and fallen off on his own. They all laughed, which made Chan mad. He said they should have said so earlier. Lee said today would be different, with the strongest guys in Korea gathered to deal with him. One of them, taller and scarier, stood in front of Chan, mocking him, and touched his hair. Chan, with angry expressions, twisted the man's hand from his hair and hit him in the mouth, causing him to fall. Everyone was shocked, and Lee, scared, ordered everyone to attack Chan. On Lee's order, everyone ran towards Chan with their bats and sticks. One by one, Chan punched them and knocked them down with his legs. They started bleeding from their mouths and noses. One person with a knife tried to attack Chan from behind, but Chan twisted his hand, causing the knife to fall, and the person screamed. After dealing with everyone, Lee was left standing alone on the rooftop. Chan called out to Lee Ho-jun and said it was just them once again. The whole gang was scattered on the ground as Chan walked towards Lee, who was scared and asked for help from the teacher. Chan was surprised to see the teacher, confused that it was the same sports teacher from before. The teacher told Chan to stop. Chan thought this man definitely wasn't an average school teacher. The teacher asked Lee if he was Lee Ho-jun. Lee, scared but relieved, replied yes. The teacher yelled at him, saying he would deal with him later, and told him to take his guys and leave. Lee smiled, thinking he was saved, and helped his members leave. Only the teacher and Chan were left on the rooftop. The teacher lit a cigarette, saying he couldn't wait another day to get back to him. Chan asked how the teacher knew they were on the rooftop. The teacher replied that Kim Mi-young told him. The teacher, exhaling smoke, said the situation was not okay and that Chan would regret everything in the future. Chan suspected the teacher was his military companion, Ye-ru, and wondered if it was a coincidence or if the same thing had happened to him. To be certain, Chan called out. The teacher was surprised and asked what he had just said. They began to fight, initially missing punches but fighting like professional military officers. The teacher wondered how a high schooler could fight like this. The teacher asked Chan who he was, and Chan replied. Who could he be? The teacher, shocked, asked again, and Chan demanded. Who could he be? The teacher furiously said to say the rest, and Chan replied, God of. The teacher completed, Blackfield. The teacher remained shocked, and Chan felt satisfied because he realized the teacher was his companion. In the counseling room, Chan asked if he was really Dayu and why his Korean was so good. Dayu replied that he had no idea. The scene then shifted to an African war, where the captain got shot and fell. Dayu said he had followed right after they wiped the floor with him. He hesitantly woke up in his bed, and when he opened his eyes he was in Korea, speaking Korean naturally. Back in the counseling room, Chan asked if he had a cigarette, but the teacher told him they couldn't smoke there. Chan looked discreetly and asked again, raising his hand to check if he had a secret, and the teacher agreed to give him one. But then he changed his mind, saying it didn't make sense for a teacher to give a cigarette to a student. Chan asked if he was really going to treat him like a high school student. The teacher replied that no matter how old his mind was, his body was still that of a high school student, and even if he boiled or grilled him alive, he wouldn't give him a cigarette. Desperate, Chan promised he would not smoke anymore. They both smiled at each other. Chan then started to think that Seo Kango was Dairu and that his reincarnation happened around the same time. Jokingly, he asked if Dairu enjoyed being in his wife's arms while he was defenseless in the hospital. The teacher replied that it was a lot better than being hospitalized. Chan became angry and was about to say something when the teacher told him to be quiet, as someone might hear them. The teacher reminded him that he was a student, and Chan smirked, saying not to mess with him. The teacher asked why he kept aggravating the situation now that he was reincarnated and advised him to attend school peacefully. Chan replied, asking what he should do when they come for him, saying he didn't enjoy fighting kids and had no intention of staying in school. He would soon return to France. The teacher, shocked, asked if he was going to return to the hellhole he had finally managed to escape. Chan angrily replied that there was a traitor among them, and if he didn't find out who it was, their squad members would have died for nothing. The room went silent. The teacher sighed and said if that was the case, they should go together during the vacations. Chan smiled and said they weren't going for a picnic. The teacher, desperate, said he knew he was as serious as him about this matter. Chan sarcastically suggested staying and dealing with the ill-mannered students. The teacher replied that he had finished his preparations and was about to deal with them once and for all. Chan laughed, questioning preparations against mere kids. The teacher asked if he hadn't noticed anything while fighting them earlier. Chan's face went blank, and he put his hand on his chest. The teacher continued, asking if their weapons weren't excessive for a fight between kids. Chan replied that they weren't really armed with firearms. The teacher, shocked, asked if he was really born in Korea, stating that ordinary delinquents never used big carving knives or bats with nails. Chan, not understanding the seriousness, responded blankly. The teacher, helpless, tried to make him understand and finally said there was a criminal organization backing those kids. Chan replied, an organization. Though it wasn't completely confirmed, the possibility was high. Chan replied that he would deal with them before the vacations or go to France together. The teacher, furious, said he wasn't joking. Chan relaxed, said they would continue the conversation later, then stood up and asked for a good word with the infirmary. He left the counseling room, saying he would take a nap until school ended. The teacher seemed worried. In the infirmary room, Chan was sleeping peacefully when someone entered. Chan angrily asked what he wanted. It was Lee, who seemed scared of Chan and apologized for disturbing him. He had snacks in his hand and gave them to Chan. Chan didn't understand why he was given snacks. Lee explained that the first and second year students would come to greet him after their classes ended, as he was now the school's boss. Chan angrily told him to get lost, and Lee hesitantly apologized and left. Chan seemed puzzled, not understanding what had just happened. It was a peaceful evening with a red sky as the sun set. Chan walked down the stairs of his school, and everyone seemed scared of him as he walked through the corridor. His girlfriend, standing outside the classroom with a bag in her hand, was waiting for him. She glanced at him, smiled, and pushed her hair behind her ears. Chan stood with a blank face. She handed over his bag and asked about his health. Chan angrily took the bag and told her not to bother him. She looked surprised and sad at his behavior. As they were talking, someone from behind called Kang Chan. Turning, they saw it was the gang of girls from the rooftop whom Chan had slapped. Yinsil told Chan to come with them as some people wanted to see him. Chan, tense, said it was a joke and left with his girlfriend Mei Yong. The girl, angry, ground his teeth. She called them from behind, but they didn't listen and continued to walk. Chan and his girlfriend walked out of the school and into the parking lot. The girl mentioned that it looked like Yinsil was targeting him. Chan, not understanding, was told to be careful as there were rumors she slept with guys everywhere. Chan thought that wasn't something to be careful about and that she would be traumatized when she saw how Westerners act. Meanwhile, Mayang worried that Chan was in danger. In front of their school, 4 guys with scary faces stood next to a car. One held a phone and another smoked a cigarette. The guy with the phone looked at a picture of Kang Chan and confirmed it was him. They called out to Chan. Chan knew it and thought that they are those about whom Dayiru mentioned. His girlfriend, afraid, told him not to go and grabbed his coat. He reassured her that it was all right and approached them. They asked if he was Kang Chan, and he replied yes, asking why they wanted to know. One of them commented that he was as insolent as they had heard. Chan thought it wouldn't be too dangerous if they fought. They stood in the parking lot, and the other students seemed terrified. Chan glanced at his girlfriend and said the location wasn't right for fighting. They told him they weren't there to fight and gestured towards the car, saying they needed to talk. Chan angrily replied, what the person from behind, smoking a cigarette, came forward, put his hands in Chan's hair, and mocked him. Chan, with anger, told him to take his hands off. The person, furious and still with the cigarette in his mouth, said he was planning on being nice because Chan was just a kid. As he said this, Chan forcefully removed his hand, grabbed his head, and punched him, causing the cigarette to fall. He then grabbed the person by the collar and threw him to the ground with full force. The surrounding students, shocked and terrified, started recording the fight on their phones. One of the guys angrily told the students to put their phones away and smashed one student's phone on the ground. Everyone was scared and put their phones away. Another person took out a knife from his coat and Chan, ready to fight, took off his school bag. Their boss told him not to use the knife in front of the school and to keep it reasonable, just making sure Chan couldn't mess with them for the rest of the day. The guys agreed and replied yes, so 2 of them approached Chan, surrounding him from the front and back. Chan thought they were good at positioning themselves and definitely different from other ill-mannered kids. One of them launched a punch with full force, but Chan countered and took him to the ground. The other guy attacked from behind, but Chan defended himself. They started fighting professionally. As Chan stood, the guy from behind tried to punch him again, but Chan hit him, drawing blood from his nose and mouth. The other person attacked from behind, but Chan kicked and punched him. Chan realized these adults were different, and it was difficult to fight them with his current body. As he stood, the guy from behind kicked him. Chan thought that Dayiru would have mocked him if he had seen him fighting like this. One of the guys suggested Chan come with them, as they hadn't come to fight. Chan, still angry, replied that he didn't care why they were there, but he wasn't in the mood to follow them. They all looked at her angrily as she told the police about the location. The guy said it was annoying and they were leaving for today, but he would remember this. Chan replied that the next time they came, he would break their arms. The guys left in their cars. Mei Yong sighed with relief and suggested they leave. Chan agreed, saying it would be troublesome if they got questioned by the police. She revealed that she had pretended to call the police, thinking he wouldn't want to be bothered by them. He smiled and said she was smart. Chan saw Yinsil standing on the other side of the road and went towards her, warning her to rely on her own power. If she depended on others, they would take advantage of her and discard her. Yinsil, angry, tried to push him, asking who he thought he was to talk to her like that. Chan walked away, ignoring her shouts. As he left with his girlfriend, he thought that his body was really innocent. Even though he didn't get hurt that badly, the damage was significant. Mei Yong asked if he was in pain and if she should call an ambulance, but he replied that it was fine and suggested they go eat. He asked if she liked tonkatsu, and she happily replied that she did. The next morning, the teacher was delivering a lecture in the classroom. Chan sat at his desk with a desperate look on his face. His girlfriend, who was sitting next to him, told him the class had ended. As soon as the class ended, he put his head on the desk and said, jokingly, he would rather pick up a gun and fight on a battlefield. Some students approached them, and Chan asked what they wanted. They told him they were second-year and first-year students and handed him a weekly payment envelope. Chan, angry, asked who ordered them to do this. It was seemingly Lee who told them to do this. Chan told them to return it and not listen to Lee anymore, advising them not to move around in a big group. They bowed and said, "Yes, sir," before leaving. Another student came and told Chan that the teacher had asked for him in the counseling room. Chan realized that Dairu had called him. Dairu was sitting on the sofa, with one hand on his cheek and the other on his leg, waiting for him. The PE teacher, Dairu, says that he heard Chan was in another fight yesterday. Rumors spread so quickly. Dairu tells him to stop getting into trouble, he's not even a kid anymore. Chan replies sarcastically, asking if Dairu, who got into the most trouble back in Africa, is saying that. The teacher reminds him that this isn't Africa, they are in Korea, where there are security cameras and smartphones everywhere, and the police can arrive within 5 minutes. He warns Chan that he might get expelled at this rate. Chan, not caring, says that wouldn't be too bad, as he would be able to return to Africa immediately. The teacher, frustrated, calls him stubborn and asks him to listen to a request before he ends up leaving. Chan asks what it is. The teacher says there are first-year students in the school who are being severely bullied and asks Chan to look after them. Chan, surprised, replies that if he does that, things will get even worse for them after he leaves, advising not to interfere too much in their lives. The teacher gets an idea and offers to allow Chan to skip class. Feeling motivated, Chan asks how that would work. The teacher explains that he would only need to attend morning classes if he registered as a special student athlete. Even if he slept during class, the teachers wouldn't bother him. He also needs to work out, and if he went back to Africa in his current state, he wouldn't survive for a week. Chan thinks about the idea and agrees. In the corridor, Yoon-sul approaches Chan, saying they need to talk. Chan ignores her and walks into the class. She shouts, asking why he is ignoring her and showing what happened to her because of him. Chan asks what happened, and Yoon-sul replies that those guys from yesterday fight. Chan, furious, tells her to come with him. Mi-young watches them leave the class. They go to the rooftop, and Chan asks her to tell him the story. She explains that the guys told her to bring him to them, or they would cut off Jun's tongue, ship him off to some island, and she would be sold to a brothel. Chan suggests telling the police since they are just 5 minutes away. With teary eyes, Yoon-sul says that if she does that, they will come after her family. She offers to do anything he wants if he meets them. Chan asks if she is sure about anything. She nervously agrees, closing her eyes as Chan approaches. He thinks she is just like the others. Chan rubs his hands on her face and tells her to wash her face, avoid wearing makeup, and wear her uniform properly. The girl is surprised by his words. Chan reminds her that she said she would do anything. He then tells her to call the guys right now. She hesitates, but agrees, taking out her mobile phone and dialing the number. The guy on the other side is shocked that she called first and mocks her. Chan grabs the phone and tells the guy it's him, Kang Chan. The guy on the other side says she must have explained everything to him and tells Chan where they are, demanding he come right now. Chan replies that he is busy until the weekend and suggests meeting on Monday. The guy angrily says Chan is not in a position to negotiate, but Chan insists, saying he will hang up otherwise. The guy on the other side of the phone looked at a guy who was sitting with a girl, smoking a cigarette in the bar, but his face was not clear, gives him a signal with his hand. The guy reluctantly agrees and warns Chan not to run away. Chan assures him he won't run and tells them to stop bothering the girl, as she has nothing to do with them. Kaya, shocked and in tears, thanked him. Chan returns her phone and says he is leaving. Yoon-sul stops him and asks for his phone number, saying she might become helpful to him for something. Chan smirks, thinking that if Smeathan were alive, they would have been soulmates. He tells her it's fine, and she can meet him on Monday after school, then leaves. In the evening, Chan walks through the school, thinking about France, working out, the bullied students, Hyo Yoon-sul, and gangsters. He wonders why things are so complicated when it has only been a few days since he woke up. Mi-young calls him from behind, and he thinks, Snow White, she also. They started walking on footpath together. As they were walking, Mi-young looked at him and asked him if he likes Yoon-sul, and Chan, surprised, asked why. Mi-young explains that she saw them together earlier and says she feels insecure because she can't even put on makeup like Yoon-sul to look pretty. Chan, confused, replies that there is nothing going on between him and Yoon-sul, and they just talked about yesterday's fight. Mi-young, excited, asks if he doesn't have a crush on her. Chan, with a blank face, asks why he would have a crush on her. Mi-young seems relieved, and Chan wonders why she is talking about such rubbish. Then he realizes this and asks her if she likes him. Mei Yong, shy and blushing, looks away and hides her face with her hands. Her face flushed red with embarrassment. Chan, looking desperate, says that he is 29 and she knows it. Mei Yong stands there peeking at him from behind her hands, embarrassed. Chan and Mei Yong arrived at a garden to sit and chat. Feeling shy, Mei Yong hesitantly asked if Chan wanted to kiss her. Chan was taken aback by her question and Mei Yong pressed further, wondering if he didn't want to. As she moved closer to him, Chan declined, explaining that they were just friends. Mei Yong retreated, mentioning that their classmates often engaged in such behavior. Chan pondered whether all the students of their time were like this and questioned if there was no middle ground. Deciding to address the situation later, he gave Mei Yong a challenge. If she achieved first place in the upcoming school test, he would kiss her. Mei Yong, confident in her abilities since she had always been at the top, eagerly accepted the challenge. However, as she stood up in excitement, she suddenly grew into a giant and demanded that he kiss her. Chan was shocked by her transformation and quickly fled, trying to escape her giant grasp. Chan woke up from the dream and got ready for the day. He told his mother that he was leaving. She asked where he was going, and he replied that he was heading to school. His mother then informed him that it was Saturday and questioned why he would go to school on that day. Chan was stunned by her revelation and his mother asked if his head was still hurting. He replied that, as he was in his final year, he needed to attend supplementary classes. His mother agreed and wished him a good day. Chan realized that nowadays, students didn't have to go to school on Saturdays and remarked on how convenient the world had become. He called Day to meet up and, while traveling in the car with Day mentioned that the GOB had to attend supplementary classes, which Chan found to be a hilarious excuse. Chan asked what else Day could say and inquired where they were going. Day explained that they were heading to the mountains to relax and enjoy some boiled chicken while surrounded by nature. They stopped at a place to eat, and as Day enjoyed a drink, he commented on how refreshing it was. Chan wondered why only Day was drinking and asked to have some himself. Day refused, explaining that students in school uniforms weren't allowed to drink. Chan then pointed out that, since Day was driving, he shouldn't be drinking either. Day responded that it would be fine because there was a driving service in Korea, and he had been living there for a while now, unlike a certain someone. Chan asked if Day liked his current lifestyle. Day responded, like what? Chan clarified if Day was satisfied with his life as it was. Day acknowledged that it was an important question. He explained that at the beginning he felt as though he was losing his mind, trying to act and live like someone he wasn't. His family members gathered around, crying and wondering what was happening to him. Day managed to cope because of his wife and daughter. He was concerned about those he would leave behind if he were to suddenly disappear. Moreover, he knew that returning to Africa with his current body wouldn't be feasible. Given that the universe had unexpectedly given him a second chance, he decided to live his life properly. Chan agreed, noting how peaceful he found the city. Day joked about whether it was appropriate to say that after getting into a knife fight just 2 days into school. They both laughed, enjoying the moment. Chan mentioned that he would meet the gangsters on Monday. Shocked, Day asked where. Chan replied that Day didn't need to know. Day protested, saying it wasn't fair to keep secrets between them. Chan explained that if he revealed the location, Day would surely follow him, which is why he kept it a secret. Day mentioned that, given Chan's current body as an ordinary high schooler, he wasn't as capable of fighting as he used to be. Chan replied that he would handle his own problems and instructed Day not to get involved. That was his order. They continued eating, and Day asked Chan how many people he had killed up to that point. Chan's shocked reaction prompted Day to guess it was over a few hundred. Chan asked how Day would know and why he was asking such questions. Day suggested that if Chan looked away and ignored things for a while, he might fully integrate into this peaceful world. Chan appreciated the concern but assured Day he knew what he needed to do. He promised that once he had dealt with the current issue, he would come back and join Day again. By the time Chan returned home, it was night. He went to his room and recalled standing amid numerous armed adversaries. Despite managing to take down 1 or 2, the others had attacked him with overwhelming force, causing him significant pain. Chan wondered if his body couldn't keep up with his mind, feeling weaker and slower than before. He questioned whether he would even be able to win against them. Just then, Chan's mother knocked on his door, asking if he was asleep. He didn't respond immediately, but after changing his clothes and turning on the light, he invited her in. When she entered, Chan asked if she wasn't going to bed. She replied that she was about to sleep but came in to check if he was free the next day. She had made plans with her friend Sion to have brunch at a French restaurant, and Sion would be bringing her son. She thought it would be nice if Chan could join them. Chan considered her invitation, and she reassured him that it was fine if he was busy. Seeing her slightly disappointed, Chan mentioned that he didn't have any important plans for the next day and would be happy to join them. His mother was delighted by his response. The next day, they arrived in front of a restaurant named Martin Levasseur. Chan thought that opting for brunch instead of intense training on the last day felt like a pleasant change. As he read the name of the restaurant, he felt it must be a high-class establishment. Yu Hai suggested they go inside. Once they entered, Yu Hai looked around and spotted Sion with her son. Chan noticed that the other female customers at the restaurant were discussing him, calling him handsome. He greeted Sion and her son, who responded with unusually broad smiles. Chan wondered if this was going to be a recurring theme. They all took their seats, and Sion mentioned that Gani Sik had very qualified tutors. She suggested that Yu Hai arrange for Chan to be taught by them as well, and offered to ask the tutor to make some time for him. Yu Hai responded that she would consider it later. Sion then inquired about Chan's English grades. Yu Hai replied that they were satisfactory. Sion urged Yu Hai to wake up to the reality that Chan was studying in an ordinary school, unlike them in a prestigious one, and expressed concern for both Yu Hai and Chan. Chan and Yu Hai did not respond. Sik excused himself to the waiter, asking for another cup of water in French. Sion pointed out to Yu Hai that Sik's ability to speak French was a result of their esteemed school's education and the mother's efforts to teach her child properly. Yu Hai mentioned that Chan would also learn French. Sion, visibly excited, asked which cram school Chan was attending or if he was learning from a personal tutor. Yu Hai responded that Chan had learned from the internet. Both Sion and Sik exchanged creepy smiles and made fun of the situation, dismissing it as a joke and criticizing Yu Hai. As they criticized Yu Hai, Chan spoke to the girls in French, asking them not to go overboard. The group was shocked by his fluency, and one of the girls asked him in French if he understood everything they were saying. Chan replied that he hadn't intended to eavesdrop, it was just that the conversation happening near him had caught his attention. Seeing them become embarrassed, Chan clarified that he wasn't planning to date them and asked them not to assume otherwise. He also pointed out that the person in front of him could barely speak French, and the two ladies didn't understand much of the conversation. Sik explained to Sion in plain language that Chan was simply greeting them. Yu Hai added that Chan was a genuine genius and mentioned that she had recently received a call from France. One of the girls, in French, told Chan that it was impossible. Chan asked if they understood Korean and suggested they accompany the girl, letting her brag, and he would owe them a favor. The girl replied that it was a very attractive proposal. The three girls approached Chan and Yu Hai asked Chan what was happening. Chan explained that they had enjoyed talking with him and wanted to greet Yu Hai as well. The three girls introduced themselves as Michelle, Cecile, and Cindy. Yu Hai told Chan to send her regards to them. Afterward, Sion got up, prompting Yu Hai to ask if she was leaving. Sion replied that she had forgotten it was time for Sik's English classes. As Sion and Sik were leaving, Yu Hai wished them to stay safe. Chan told Michelle that it should be enough now, and they all returned to their seats. He thanked them for their company. Michelle responded that they weren't leaving yet, as he owed her a favor now. Chan asked how he could repay them. Michelle requested his contact number. Chan was surprised by the request. Michelle explained that he should understand what she was asking for, given that he had overheard their conversation and knew they were interested in him. Chan asked her to stop joking. She leaned against the table for support and asked if he really thought she was joking. She insisted that she wasn't the type to go back on her words or break promises. On Monday, Chan was practicing in a room, reflecting that he wasn't the type to break his promises. Day entered and asked what was so funny about the situation. Chan stood up and explained that it was nothing significant, but he was concerned that he couldn't lift his arm properly even after just warming up. Day suggested that Chan should stop and call the police for help. Chan laughed at the suggestion, but Day noted that it wasn't a laughing matter. Observing Chan starting to practice again, Day commented that at this rate, Chan would be going to France with a crutch. Chan decided it was time to stop and proposed creating a sports club. This way, during vacations, they could rely on each other for support. Chan asked Dae what he thought of the idea. Dae agreed, saying it would be beneficial. With the club's budget, it would be easier to purchase training equipment, and he could act as the supervisor. But it wasn't just a trivial matter. Chan had become weaker, and his opponents were no ordinary gangsters. Chan spoke about the Legio Patria Nostra, and Dae remarked that the Legion was their fatherland, and the motto was March or Die. Chan expressed disdain for Hyo and Lee, saying he would rather face a knife than break his promise. Dae replied that he liked his wife and didn't want to end up in prison for swinging a knife to save Chan, especially since Chan seemed to get into trouble too easily. Chan acknowledged this and prepared to leave. Dae urged him not to act like that and suggested they go together. Chan refused and reminded Dae about Mangala. Dae grew angry at the mention of Mangala, clearly irritated. Chan left to walk the streets when a car pulled up and asked if he was Chan, inviting him inside. They arrived at the cotton candy building and went downstairs with several people. Upon arrival, Chan saw 6 rooms on the left and 5 on the right. He noticed a group of people having a meal. A man told Chan not to underestimate adults and invited him to sit. As Chan took his seat, the man commented that he liked Chan's eyes. Chan expressed that he didn't care about their usual activities, but he asked them not to involve innocent children in their criminal operations. One man became angry, feeling disappointed. He had thought Chan was brave but now considered him a fool. Chan insisted they needed to stay away from his school. As one man lunged to punch him, Chan dodged the attack and stabbed the chopsticks into the man's hand. The leader instructed the others to deal with Chan and teach him some manners. 3 men rushed to attack Chan, but he managed to knock them all down with precise strikes. The leader and the remaining men advanced to attack Chan, but he deftly avoided their blows and grabbed the leader by the head. The leader warned Chan that he wouldn't leave unharmed and declared that Chan was as good as dead. As more attackers arrived, Chan warned them that if they didn't want to see their boss's neck broken, they needed to back off. One of the attackers swung at Chan with a base, but Chan kicked him, causing him to fall. The remaining attackers joined forces to overwhelm Chan, but he skillfully evaded their combined assaults. The leader took advantage of Chan's momentary lapse in grip and ordered Chan's death. At that moment, someone wearing a mask intervened and attacked the leader. No one knew who the masked boy was, and one of the attackers demanded to know his identity. The masked boy responded by attacking him in turn. Chan wondered what was happening. The masked boy had attacked all the bad guys, and Chan finally realized it was Dae. One man wondered why the masked boy was attacking them. Another man remarked that it would be just another boy to bury. The first man said it seemed like they were about to get busy, so he rushed to attack Chan multiple times. Chan dodged some of the attacks, but one hit him. The second man arrived and struck Chan, injuring him in several places, declaring that Chan was finished. Dae watched as Chan was reminded of his past, where he had earned the title of God of the Blackfield. Chan managed to stop the man's dagger aimed at him. When the man attacked with a second dagger, Chan stopped that as well. The man wondered why Chan suddenly appeared so strong. Chan explained that God of the Blackfield was his real nickname, given to him by his enemies, and now he intended to kill the man. Chan struck the man's head with his own, causing him to fall back, and delivered a brutally powerful punch to the man's face. As Dae saw this, he struck another man, causing him to fall. As Chan prepared to kill one of the attackers, Dae intervened, saying he would not kill them. Chan then told the remaining bad guys that if they didn't want to fight, they could hide in the rooms. They exchanged looks and retreated to the rooms. Chan sat down on the side, and Dae approached, expressing surprise at seeing Chan again. Chan asked where Dae had gotten the mask. Dae replied that it was a popular item among kids, and then suggested they leave. Chan noted that if they left like this, someone would surely call the police. Dae asked him to wait and said he would check the counter for something to cover them. While resting, Chan checked his cigarette box and discovered it was empty. He heard footsteps and realized there were at least 20 people approaching, wondering if they were reinforcements. As the men arrived, Chan tried to get up but found his body too weak to move. One of the men stepped forward and remarked that, despite his doubts, Chan was indeed a student. He asked one of the men to check the situation outside. The man introduced himself as Guang, known as Since Dong's Guang, and explained that he had come after hearing that Gibbons group from the parking lot was in trouble. Chan asked if he had a cigarette. One of the men became angry at how Chan spoke, but Guang scolded him, questioning who gave him permission to speak like that and whether he could fight like Chan. Guang suggested that if age was his excuse, he should go to a nursing home. The man apologized. Day then came over, asking everyone to move out of the way. As he crossed through the group, he asked Chan if he was okay. Guang laughed at the situation and commented that Park Gibum must be very embarrassed. The man who had been sent outside returned and reported that there were no fatalities, but 5 people were in serious condition, and Gibum's group from the parking lot was finished. Guang said he would take his leave and instructed his people to handle the aftermath. Since it seemed they wanted to quietly resolve the incident, he decided to go to the hospital where his other team members were admitted. The scene shifts to a hospital, where Chan is being treated and lying in a bed. As he wakes up, Day asks how he's feeling. Chan has had to get stitches because his knife wound had worsened. Chan doesn't understand what's happening and asks where they are. Day explains that he fainted as soon as they got into Guang's car. Chan recalls his battle with the gangsters, feeling embarrassed, and asks how long he's been out. Day replies that Chan was unconscious for a long time. It's now 1 o'clock in the morning. He tells Chan's parents that he would be spending the night at Day's place but advises Chan to call them. Day then asks if Chan wants anything to eat. Chan responds that he's fine and only wants to smoke. Guang arrives, and Chan immediately asks for a cigarette. Guang is irritated by Chan's singular focus on smoking and then asks if Day is Chan's teacher. Chan replies that it will take a while to explain, but technically it's correct. He adds that since Day is someone he trusts, it's okay for him to hear their conversation. Guang agreed and thanked Chan, noting that he had benefited from the situation without doing anything. He added that there wouldn't be anyone in Gangnam's underground world who would stand against him for a while. Guang then asked Chan if there was anything he could do for him. Chan requested that Guang not involve himself with their school. Guang mentioned that it was simple and easy to stay out of their affairs. He advised Chan to lay low for a while, as rumors about him had spread everywhere that day. Those who needed him, feared him, or were simply curious were all trying to find him. Chan replied that dealing with this was Guang's business and he would handle it himself. Guang grew angry, acknowledging that Chan was indeed a special individual. He admitted that he had profited from the incident, whether intentionally or not. Just as Guang recognized Chan's talent, he felt Chan needed to respect his status and opinions. Chan asked what would happen if he didn't want to. Angered, Guang stared intently at Chan and conceded defeat, suggesting they forget everything and be friends. Day interjected, asking Guang to first remove his men from outside, as neither Day nor Chan needed their protection. Guang asked what Day taught at school. Day replied that he taught physical education. Guang instructed that the boys outside should be let in and mentioned that the fighters from Ulsan were not ordinary. He said he would be gloomy for a while, and if Chan wanted anything to eat, he should let the boys outside know. After stating this, Guang left. Chan told Day to go as well. Day responded that he could stay and then go to work from there. He then inquired if there was something going on between Chan and Mi-young, as Chan had been receiving a lot of crazy messages. Chan explained that Mi-young was like a child and asked Day to ignore her. Chan then asked when he would be discharged. Day said the doctor had recommended a month of rest for Chan. Chan realized he would almost have to stay for a week and couldn't tell his parents he would be staying over at a teacher's house for an entire week. He suggested to Day that they should say it was a traffic accident. They could claim that Chan and Day went out for dinner to discuss Chan's future, had an accident on the way back, and that one of the men outside caused it. Day went outside to inform the boys of this plan. After informing Yu Hai, she rushed to the hospital. Day reassured her not to worry too much, saying Chan would be discharged soon. Yu Hai asked Chan how it had happened and where he was hurt. Chan waved his hand dismissively, saying it didn't hurt much, despite the serious appearance of the injury. Yu Hai suggested transferring Chan to a larger hospital where he had been previously treated, as traffic accidents could have lingering effects on his body. Chan asked her not to go to such extremes. Chan wondered what to do next and struggled to avoid mentioning that he had been injured by a knife delivery truck. Then the doctor and a nurse arrived. The doctor asked how Chan was feeling. Chan responded that he was fine. Yu Hai introduced herself as Chan's mother and bowed to the doctor. The doctor assured her that there was no need for excessive worry, as Chan's wounds weren't as severe as they appeared. His treatment had gone well, and he just needed to eat and rest. Yu Hai mentioned that she was considering transferring Chan to Bial Hospital, where he had been treated before. The doctor agreed to her request, which surprised Chan. He wondered why the doctor, who seemed indifferent to Chan's situation, agreed to the transfer. The doctor explained that Hani, the director of surgical services at Bial Hospital, was a friend of his. He offered to call Hani to put in a good word for Chan but mentioned that it might be better for Chan to stay in the current hospital. In larger hospitals, the number of patients a single doctor handles can be overwhelming. At Bial, doctors are often busy with outside commitments. While a large hospital is ideal for life-threatening situations, Chan's case required attentive care rather than complex surgery. Ultimately, it was his personal opinion that the legal guardian should make the decision. Although the chairman was a busy man, he usually answered the doctor's calls. The doctor then asked Yu Hai what she wanted to do. She decided against transferring Chan and said they would wait for her husband to arrive to discuss the matter. The doctor continued treating Chan while sharing a personal story. He revealed that while studying abroad, his younger brother had become a gangster. Their parents had always compared the two, and eventually the brother started using knives for violent purposes. One day, the gangster brother was brought to the emergency room after being stabbed. He lost too much blood and wasn't in his right mind. When the brother learned that the doctor was working at the hospital, he refused treatment there, ultimately leading to his death. After finishing Chan's treatment, the doctor got up and mentioned that he had heard Chan was skilled with his fists. He requested that Chan either come to the hospital or send someone if needed, but urged him not to kill or die. Given the circumstances, it would be difficult for the doctor to continue his work. Chan asked if the doctor couldn't stop, but the doctor responded that doing so wouldn't change the number of people who suffer severe injuries. Chan then inquired about the potential risks of the doctor continuing his job. The doctor replied that money was no longer an issue. If his license were revoked, he would simply move to another country to live peacefully. Chan understood and thanked the doctor. The doctor responded that Chan should be thanking him, as he had saved quite a bit of money by treating fewer patients. Chan commented that it was good for the doctor. The doctor warned Chan to remember that if he ever came to him as a corpse, he would secretly sell Chan's organs for profit and not inform his parents. The doctor then told Chan to leave and wished him a good rest. A week later, as Chan was getting dressed for school and preparing to leave his home, Yu Hai approached him. She wanted to talk, but upon seeing him in his uniform, she asked what he was wearing. He replied that he was going to school. Yu Hai was surprised because Chan had just been discharged, and the doctor had advised him to rest at home for a few more days. Chan insisted that he was fine and ready to go to school. He then noticed an envelope in Yu Hai's hand and asked about it. She showed him a check for 50 million won. Chan realized that Guang had arranged this, but he felt it was unnecessary. Chan suggested that they should return the money later, and Yu Hai agreed, noting that the amount seemed suspicious. Chan then put on his shoes to leave for school. Kang, Chan's father, asked if he could drive Chan to school. Chan agreed, and Kang took him forcefully, which made Chan wonder about his father's insistence. During the car ride, Kang asked Chan if there was anything he hadn't told him. If Chan denied it, Kang said he wouldn't ask any more questions. Chan admitted that there were some things he hadn't shared, including his involvement in a recent fight. The students he fought against were backed by some gangsters, leading to complicated issues. However, they managed to resolve the situation successfully, and those involved would not be seen again, even at school. There were a few injuries, but fortunately no one died. Kang asked why Chan had lied and said it was a traffic accident. Chan explained that he didn't want Yu Hai to worry too much and apologized for that. Kang mentioned that Chan didn't realize how much his mother had sacrificed for him. Chan glanced at a picture of his parents from when he was born and acknowledged that he wasn't fully aware of the details, but he could imagine something like that had happened. Kang added that while there was nothing to worry about with him, Chan shouldn't have made Yu Hai cry. He asked if Chan could avoid doing that in the future. Chan agreed, and Kang thanked him for being honest that day. As Chan arrived at school, he met Dae. Dae, shocked, asked why Chan was at school, given his recent condition. Chan reassured him not to worry, explaining that he had received permission to return and that the doctor had said it was the first time he'd seen someone with Chan's constitution. Everything was fine, although the situation was unusual. Dae responded that Chan had always been a bit odd. Chan inquired if anything strange had happened recently. Day mentioned that bizarre rumors were circulating at school. Some people said Chan was on the verge of death from a stabbing, others claimed he was dead, and one student even reported seeing Chan being arrested by the police. Chan noted that it seemed like a lot of people were glad now and asked if he could go and take a look. Day inquired what Chan wanted to see. Chan mentioned his interest in the request from Day and asked for the list. The scene shifted to the first-year classroom where Ginji was having his meal. Suddenly, a boy came up and slammed his hand on Ginji's head. Ginji looked back, confused. The boy asked if Ginji had any problems. Ginji denied it, but the boy began eating and remarked that Ginji's blood would suffer if he ate too much meat, suggesting he should eat more vegetables. The boy pretended to be concerned about Ginji's health. Ginji thanked him, but the boy questioned why Ginji wasn't eating and if he wasn't feeling hungry. He then shoved a spoonful of food into Ginji's mouth so forcefully that it injured him. The other students laughed at the scene. As the boy continued to bully Ginji, Chan entered the classroom. The boy looked up, surprised by the intruder, and then saw Chan. He quickly greeted Chan warmly, welcoming him. Chan asked who the boy was. The boy introduced himself as Kim from Class 3 of Year 1. Chan commented on Kim's friendliness and asked if Ginji was present. Kim nodded, looking puzzled. Chan clarified that he had heard Ginji was in Class 3 of Year 1 and asked where he could find him. Kim pointed toward Ginji. As Chan approached, he saw that Ginji was trembling and asked if he was Ginji. Ginji reluctantly agreed, thinking that Chan must be the terrifying upperclassman mentioned in the rumors. He wondered why Chan was looking for him. Chan then asked Ginji to follow him. Ginji, feeling anxious, asked why. The other students were astonished at how Ginji spoke to a senior, and Kim questioned Ginji's sanity and audacity for talking back to Chan. Chan told Kim not to interfere, leaving Kim shocked but compliant. Chan informed Ginji that he wanted to talk and took hold of Ginji's hand, instructing him to stop making excuses and to follow him. As they moved, Chan noticed other students watching them and told them not to worry or pay attention to them. While the others resumed their activities, Chan approached a girl and asked if she was So-yeon. Upon her confirmation, Chan introduced himself and said he wanted to speak with her. So-yeon wondered if Chan was the infamous figure she had heard about. Chan asked if she was currently busy. When she said she was not, Chan, along with Ginji and So-yeon, left the classroom. Some boys looked on in fear at the sight of Chan, and So-yeon appeared frightened by the boys as well. The boys bowed, and one of them introduced himself as CO from the second year, noting that he had previously greeted Chan. Chan acknowledged this and asked them to move aside, as they were blocking the way. Siho apologized and cleared the path for Chan, Ginji, and So-yeon to leave, wishing them a good day. With some students in tow, Chan headed to the sports room, where Day was already waiting. Chan explained that he had gathered everyone to form a sports club, with their PE teacher, Day, serving as their supervisor. When no one reacted, Chan asked if there were any questions. Ginji inquired about the sports they would be engaging in. Chan replied that the club would focus on physical training, basic self-defense, and possibly field hockey. So-yeon asked why Chan had invited them. Chan answered that he wanted to spend time with them and build friendships. This explanation left everyone confused. Day reassured them that joining the club was voluntary and they could leave if they wished. However, he emphasized that participating would be beneficial. He then showed them the sign-up documents, inviting potential members to write down their names. For those who chose to stay a bit longer, lunch would be delivered soon, and they would leave after eating. Chan asked if they didn't think it sounded fun. As he glared at them, Day told Chan not to glare like that, as it wasn't Africa. Chan responded that he was doing his best. Day then asked why Mi-young was there. Mi-young was introducing herself to everyone as the club manager. Day questioned Chan's sanity, wondering why he had brought a girl who was expected to get into a prestigious university. Chan explained that Mi-young had happened to meet him in the corridor, burst into tears, and wouldn't leave him alone afterward. Day said he didn't know what to make of it and asked Chan to handle her himself. Chan replied that he was unsure as well and suggested they just let her be. At that moment, a man approached Day and asked if he had ordered the tonkatsu. Day confirmed and asked the man to put it all on the table. As everyone enjoyed the meal, Chan noticed Yoon-sil peeking at him from behind the door. When Chan smiled, she quickly ran away. After a while, Chan went to find her and asked why she was loitering around. Yoon-sil denied she was loitering. Chan told her that if she wasn't doing anything, she could leave. As he was heading back into the sports room, Yoonsul called out to him, feeling regretful. Yoonsul watched as Chan and the students practiced running on the field, encouraging them to complete one more lap. Although they were surprised by the request, they continued to follow him. As they grew tired and took a break, Mi-young distributed drinks to everyone. Gi-jin, gasping for breath, thanked Mi-young and thought to himself that he had finally survived the day's training. Chan then asked if they were ready to start the real training for the day. The students were shocked by this. Chan noticed their reaction and asked if they had any questions. Gi-jin asked what they had just done. Chan explained that it was merely a warm-up and that it was important to warm up properly before starting intense training. The students were stunned by this revelation. During the practice, a ball hit Gi-jin in the face, causing him to fall. Chan admonished him for not avoiding the ball and asked if he was okay. Gi-jin assured him that he was fine. Dae questioned whether the ball was intentionally aimed at Gi-jin's face. Chan told him to excuse the oversight and reminded them that they were at school. Chan, referring to himself as Sir, asked them to continue playing. As Dae handed the ball back to Chan, Chan remarked that he would show what it's like when someone aims for the face on purpose. He delivered a powerful kick towards Dae, but Dae easily blocked it and responded with a counter kick. The exchange continued for some time, each of them demonstrating their skill. The students watched in awe, finding the practice intimidating. After the training, as the students washed their faces, Chan told Dae that he had initially thought his body was weak and lacking, but he was wrong compared to the students. It was in excellent shape. Dae then asked if Chan had realized that his body was unusual to begin with. He warned that if they continued to train the kids like this, they might end up harming them, suggesting they should repeat the session. Chan agreed to follow Dae's suggestion. Yoonsul approached Chan, who asked why she was there again. She expressed her desire to join the club. Chan refused, questioning why a third-year student would want to join. Yoonsul argued that there was nothing wrong with that, as she wasn't going to university anyway, and noted that Mi-young was also part of the club. Chan remarked that Mi-young had good grades, unlike Yoonsul, which made Yoonsul scowl at Mi-young before walking away in anger. Later that evening, Chan and Mi-young waited for the traffic signal to change so they could cross the road. Mi-young suggested that Yoonsul should be allowed to join the club, noting how sincere and determined she had seemed earlier. Chan responded that Yoonsul wouldn't be a good fit and would likely scare others away. As the signal turned green and Chan began to cross the road, Mi-young commented that Yoonsul might fit in if they spent more time together. Chan ignored her suggestion and continued walking. While walking alone, Chan received a call from an unknown number. When he answered, a woman introduced herself as Michelle. Recognizing her French accent, Chan realized it was Michelle from the restaurant and asked why she was calling him. Michelle questioned his curiosity and implied that he was acting dumb for catching the attention of three beautiful women. Chan mentioned that he had heard she was a high school student. Michelle corrected him, saying she was French. Chan, not in the mood for jokes, insisted he wasn't interested. Michelle assured him she wasn't joking and reminded him of his promises. She then brought up their previous encounter and Chan, covered in bandages from injuries, denied any connection. Michelle suggested that their situation might be sexy in its own way. Chan wondered if Michelle was just being difficult and decided to arrange a meeting for Saturday. Michelle agreed, but as she started to say something more, Chan abruptly ended the call. Frustrated by the chaos around him, he returned home. Upon arriving, Chan found his father on the phone. His father said they could continue their conversation later and would be home as soon as possible. He then greeted Chan warmly. Chan asked whom Kang had been talking to, and Kang replied that it was a client from their company. Kang suggested that Chan go take a shower and get some rest. Although Chan agreed to leave, he couldn't shake the suspicion that his father was hiding something. As Kang was in the living room lost in thought, Chan approached and suggested they go out for a short walk. Kang initially replied that he was fine and encouraged Chan to enjoy himself. However, he soon changed his mind and agreed to join Chan for a walk. While they strolled, Chan asked if something was wrong. Kang inquired about what Chan was referring to. Chan stopped and said that if Kang claimed nothing was wrong, he wouldn't press further. Kang pointed out that this was similar to the way Chan had questioned him in the car. Placing a hand on Chan's shoulder, Kang acknowledged that Chan had read him well. Kang then explained that he had been planning to import French cars and sell them locally. The initial plan was to purchase around 50 cars for display and test drives. After receiving pre-orders, they would request additional vehicles from France. Kang expected the risk to be manageable with this plan. However, an external factor intervened. The Seojeong Group had established a subsidiary called Seojeong Motors and offered to perform parallel imports of the same cars Kang intended to sell. Chan suspected that others might be envious of his father's potential benefits, and he noticed how easily he referred to Kang as father without hesitation. Kang explained that he had been contacted by the French earlier, who had promised them exclusive rights if Kang purchased 500 cars with each order. On the surface, the French appeared to show great consideration, offering priority. However, the offer was made knowing full well that Kang would be unable to meet such a demand. If Kang decided to withdraw, others could strike a deal with a larger corporation. Chan asked which model Kang was planning to import. Kang replied that it was the Schiff and asked if Chan was familiar with it. Chan recalled that the Schiff was an extremely luxurious car. Kang continued, explaining that they faced a dilemma. They could either forfeit the money spent on the contract for the 50 cars or proceed with the payment and do their best to sell them. Regardless of the choice, the losses would be roughly the same. Kang expressed regret towards Chan and Yu Hai, explaining that the money borrowed against their house was spent on this contract. If they failed under the current circumstances, it would become very difficult for their family. He apologized for showing this vulnerable side of himself. Chan reassured Kang that everything was all right and that he was fine with the situation. He asked Kang to take good care of Yu Hai. Kang acknowledged this, noting that it was what worried him the most, and he was doing his best to make that clear. Chan agreed that it was quite obvious. Kang wondered if that was the case and admitted that he couldn't hide his concern after receiving some new information. Chan asked what the new information was. Kang revealed that the French executives who were supposed to arrive next week would be coming this week instead. Chan felt it was likely that they wanted to finalize the deal with Kang as soon as possible. Chan inquired whether the executives would arrive the next day or the day after. Kang replied that it would be the next day and that they had decided to rest for a day and meet them on Sunday at noon. Chan asked if he could accompany Kang. Kang agreed, saying he would manage on his own. Chan pointed out that he knew French well and could assist with translation. He suggested they should try everything they could, and if they still didn't succeed despite their efforts, there would be nothing more they could do. Kang was encouraged by Chan's support and said that even if the results weren't favorable, the help would be valuable until the end. For the sake of Yu Hai, they both agreed to act as usual and keep their concerns between themselves. When Chan returned home, Yu Hai asked where Kang was. Chan replied that his father would be out for a bit longer. Yu Hai found this unusual. Chan retreated to his room, thinking that men sometimes need space for themselves. Chan received a call from Michelle. Initially frustrated, he quickly saw it as good timing. Michelle mentioned she was currently bathing and asked if Chan missed her voice. Chan suggested postponing their meeting, but Michelle insisted it was unnecessary. Chan explained he had a problem at home, and Michelle agreed to meet on Monday as a final arrangement. Chan agreed, and they ended the call. Afterward, Chan turned on his PC, considering that he might have some money left in his old French account, expecting it to be more than 150 million won. He found that the account was not set up for online banking, and he barely remembered his account number. He worried that no one would believe he was Chan from the Foreign Legion. Discussing the matter with Day, Chan mentioned that the nearest branch was in Hong Kong, and he would try to contact them on Monday. Day expressed concern about Yu Hai, and Chan assured him they would do everything they could to address the situation. The scene shifts to the Namsan Hotel on Sunday for the scheduled meeting. As Kang and Chan drive there, Kang mentions that 2 executives and 1 translator from his company will be present. He plans to be honest and inform them that Chan is his son, while presenting Chan as an assistant translator to the French executives. Chan agrees to this arrangement and Kang expresses his gratitude. Chan, thinking about his plan, anticipates that assisting Kang with the negotiations will be an interesting experience. When they arrive and enter the meeting room, Chan is shocked to see a familiar face. The man reminds him of a military instructor who had taught them about various tactics and had even been quite stern, advising them to leave immediately when angered. The man is Charlan, who shakes hands with Kang. Chan wonders how Charlan is still involved. When Charlan noticed Smith speaking to a girl in an unusually informal manner, he asked Smith to behave appropriately, reminding him that they were in Korea. Smith complied and followed Charlan. Chan, surprised to see Smith there, wondered what was going on. Observing Chan's reaction, Kang asked if something was wrong. Chan replied that it was nothing. Kang then instructed Chan to greet the group. Chan introduced himself in French, referring to his father as the CEO of U Motors and stating that he was Chan, the assistant translator. Charlene commented on Chan's good pronunciation and familiar manner of speaking. Chan thanked him for the compliment. Charlene introduced Smith as the sales manager of their Asian branch. Chan was certain that Smith was not supposed to be there. Chan suggested they head upstairs. Once seated, a waitress came to take their order. Smith's displeasure at seeing the waitress was evident, and Chan thought it was the same as ever. Charlene signaled Smith to behave properly. Then Charlene asked if the name Chan was too common in Korea. When Chan did not respond, Charlene wondered if he had spoken too quickly. Chan agreed and mentioned that the name Chan is quite common. He then asked Charlene if he knew anyone else with the same name. Charlene responded that he had asked because he thought it was a nice name. Chan found it interesting and noted that he was also familiar with their names. As the waitress brought their drinks, Charlene took a sip and said it was time to begin the real discussion. A man informed Kang that Charlene wanted to start the business talk. Kang told Charlene that it was difficult for them to accept his sudden proposal. They were hoping Charlene would be willing to modify the contract conditions concerning the monopoly for 500 cars. Charlene replied that the conditions had not changed. He suggested that if Kang wanted, they could simply sign the original contract for 50 cars with U Motors. Furthermore, Seojeong Motors would also be able to import the cars under the same conditions. He emphasized that both their homeland and Kang's nation were capitalist countries, and didn't Kang know that positive competition benefits everyone? Chan thought Charlene's words were targeting their weaknesses and realized that he was indeed as shrewd as he had suspected. Kang stated that they had already paid half of the contract price for the 50 cars, and according to the contract, if they paid the remaining amount, U Motors would be entitled to the monopoly on S rights for the vehicles in South Korea. Charlene replied that even with the rights, U Motors would need to meet several conditions. They must prepare facilities that match the head office's requirements, stockpile essential components, and fully expand their manpower. Kang asked if this was indeed the case, noting that they had already signed contracts with workshops across the country to use as facilities and were prepared to meet the other requirements. Charlene confirmed that Kang only needed to comply with the head office's requests. He added that the AS monopoly rights would only apply to vehicles procured through U Motors, and Seojeong Motors had been offered the same conditions, which they accepted positively. A man standing next to Chan expressed outrage, stating that if Charlene continued this line of discussion, they would have to consider legal action. Chan thought they should not confront Charlene with such an attitude. Charlene set down his drink and remarked that the presence of the CEO made it clear what U Motors' true intentions were. He expressed disappointment and suggested that U Motors had declared war first. As he left, he thanked them for the tea. The man asked Charlene to wait, noting that they were not saying they would take action immediately.